Feel it, feel it.
And we are live. Welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Maximo, your host. I use pronouns he, him, his, and we are taking over your Tuesday. We are taking it any which way because tonight we have a phenomenal show to end our Hispanic Heritage Month. To just do it big, we got a variety show tonight, and I can't wait to introduce you to our guest, introduce you to our future guests, and close it out with a special performance. We got to give a big shout out to all of our friends, all of our family, all of our relatives, our people. Big shout out to Gylan Jackson making these squeaky clean streams come through. We also have to shout out the Delgado Law Firm, folks. If you've been hit by a car or truck anywhere in Texas, you need to contact the Delgado Law Firm immediately to get your free consult. Consults are free. And you don't pay anything unless she wins the case for you. She's going to work hard. She's our gente. And tonight, in that same light, we're talking about better representation because not all representation is good representation. So if you're out there claiming you're for the community, we hope you're putting on for the community. Community certified, first ballot, Hall of Fame is my guest, Mr. Mark Tovar. Mark, what's up, my dog? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great.
Man, it's good to have you here. Great. Finally, I know we've been kind of saying we were going to have you on in the past. Our schedules didn't align. We had some cancellations. One day we had a show planned and the power went out here.
Right.
So we were like, oh man, we can't have nobody cancel and reset it all up, man. But how you doing tonight, dog?
How
you doing?
I'm great. No complaints, man.
You look good. You feeling good? I mean, from our pre-show that we had tonight, you're in rare form. You're ready to go. So you speak a lot in front of people.
Yep.
What are you speaking about these days, man? Talk to me about that.
Basically, what I'm speaking about is a leadership crisis in America. I work a lot with leaders and executives, and one of the things I really try to bring home is that we got to do better.
To say it, to put it easy, to put it lightly. And so, man, when you told me that earlier and said we have a leadership crisis, I mean, absolutely. You know, that hit home to me because I also studied a little bit about leadership. I'm obviously not to the caliber and level that you have, but the majority of the problems that we have in this world can be solved with sound leadership.
Yes.
And, you know, so what are we doing here? Like now, if someone wants to bring you in, let's say a company, an organization that's saying, look, we got some leadership problems here. What does that process look like? What does it even mean, like, to bring you in? What is that? How does that work?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I work with a bunch of companies, big and small. So it's not a template. You know, some people may bring me in for attrition of their work staff. Some leaders get it, like you and I, and they just want to be the best leaders they can. Where we really saw this highlighted was in COVID. We had a lot of people switching positions.
Careers.
Yeah, and you'll hear people say, well, we can't find good people to work. I'm here to tell you that's a myth. That is not true. We have plenty of good people to work. They were good before COVID. They're good after COVID. What this is now is a realignment of our values as individuals. We had a chance to decide what was important in our lives. And when COVID hit, what happened was people decided some folks would rather spend a little more time at home.
Yeah, I mean, work from home became a real thing, right?
Right.
But places don't really want to have, you know, that available.
That's right, because we are training an old leadership model. Right? That old leadership model says if I can have eyes on you, then I can guarantee your productivity. But do most leaders know that people working from home, what we saw was an increase in productivity?
Productivity, right. Come on now.
Because people were at their computers for longer hours, actually. So what we saw was a higher burnout in workers because they had less ability to leave it at the office. It was actually in
all
their,
right, man. So
now
you touching on some real stuff. So let's talk about business. Let's talk about companies. Let's talk about for-profit entities, corporations, right? I mean, you know, let's be honest. Money talks. The bottom line is you know what drives these companies. I spoke to somebody today who told me he retired. He worked, I think, 35 years for Walgreens. And he says now they're closing Walgreens. They used to be on every street corner. Now they're closing them down because you could buy a lot of the things that you get at Walgreens on Amazon. So people don't want the brick and mortar store. That's what he's telling me, right? He's also saying that, the majority of the profits go to the companies that make the prescription drugs, the pharmacies. So a lot of that money is going straight to them because of the costs. There are you talk about a leadership crisis. There's a business crisis as well going on out there. Places are closing down. People are losing jobs. I mean, what's going on there?
That's true. That's true. Listen, we have to kind of reimagine the way that we're looking at the way businesses do business. And so what people really want is a connection. I tell people that we're really starving to be connected with. We have all this information that comes in on computers and things, but what we really want is a connection with a person. You want to go to a restaurant where people know who you are and know what your order is. So you can get big. There's no problem with that, but you better be willing to give people something that is different from the everyday average experience. So specialization, we talk in business about getting your niche or your niche, right? The saying is appealing to everyone is appealing to no one. So find those places in which you really specialize and think, what do I do the best of? And when you can do that, that's what all my executives are doing now. The 50 and older, they're figuring out what to do with the second half of their lives.
Yeah.
And now it's catering to what they really want to do instead of what they've had to do for the last 50 years.
That's a great point. I spoke to a group of students a couple of weeks ago, and I told them, look, if you don't attack your dreams and if you don't go hard right now to do what you're really passionate about, you're never really going to feel fulfilled and feel happy with your life.
Right. And I'm one who does not throw shade on the millennials. Listen, they're door dashing.
Yeah, they're hustling.
Ubering.
Yeah, they're hustling.
They're going to do fine. I think we low-key actually appreciate them as much as we say, the young kids, they don't want to work.
Yeah.
The truth is they're going to be good because they're proving to be more versatile than we've ever had to be.
Yeah.
So if there's an adult out there who's saying, well, by the time I was, X amount, I'd owned my own house. Listen, it's totally different for them. And just support them and let them do their thing. I see their hustle. I admire it. I think it's going to be fine. There's nothing for us to gain by throwing shade to the younger age. No more so than they thought rap for us.
Rap music's ruining these kids.
Yeah, like it was the end of, who knew that was going to be a thing? And now there's even a hip-hop museum in New York. So, I mean, give them a little room. Let them show what they're capable of doing.
Absolutely. Look, we've got to give a shout out to all of our live watchers, all of our live viewers, whether you're in Michigan, California, Texas. Big shout out to everyone. Give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share. Get with us with any questions you may have for Mark, executive coach, leadership coach, therapist. He's got a ton of more information to share. We're going to get down to it in a bit. In a few moments, though, we're going to have a live sneak peek view of Dan Reed Productions show Volo. It's a Cirque style show. You're going to catch it wherever you catch your best shows here in Texas, California, New York, nationwide. We want you to check it out. Sneak peek, never seen before, right here at VodPod Media. I got a quote I want to share with you that resonated with Mark earlier today, and that was, don't get in where you fit in, be an ace and make a space.
That's right.
And you're a guy that's made a lane for yourself, right? Now, what has led you to this career and this work that you're doing?
Okay, I'm going to be really honest. What led me to this career at about 40, I became severely burned out. Okay, I was to the point of burnout where I was pretty disillusioned with my job. I had studied to be a therapist for a very long time. At that point, was about 15 years in, and I was applying for all these leadership positions, and I wasn't getting picked. I'd make it to the very, one or two or three, and then wasn't getting chosen, and began to get really kind of in my feelings about it, to be honest. Kind of negative. And the doctors were saying, boy, you're not doing real well. Your numbers aren't good. Your cholesterol is high. And I woke up one morning and thought, wait, why am I asking for permission to be in a space where because if I'm a stressed out worker, there's got to be other people like me who think they followed all the rules. and still aren't getting their just desserts. So instead of asking other people for permission, I began to say, I bet there's a practice out there that I can do as a therapist that would talk to other people who are feeling burned out, disillusioned, and need the next step. And when I finally took that step, it meant that I had to do it on my own. But I'm here to tell you 5 years later was the absolute right decision. And so my business is actually birthed out of a great deal of pain and discomfort. And I'm glad to be able to do this every day for other people, to show them that there is a way, and you will make your own. As you know, you will make your own space.
Yeah.
And you just have to have the courage to not ask for permission. This doesn't mean being mean to anybody else, or casting shades or dispersions or saying anything negative about your previous employers or anything else. This is all about you. And at the end of the day, you've got to be able to kind of go, look, this is on me.
Yeah.
Let me do it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I still think that any stress that I cause is under my control.
Well, you're a really intelligent guy. You're well-spoken. You're deeply passionate. I can feel that edge and that touch that you have when you work with people. Mm-hmm. You know, what is Mark's legacy? Because, I mean, you do a little bit of it all, man. You were telling me your work with suicide prevention, mm-hmm. you know, work you do with companies like Apple. I mean, you're doing some major work here, man. I mean, you know, how is Mark, you know, casting this story right now, man? Where does that drive come from?
Yeah, that's interesting. Probably, I mean, if you can see on screen, I have a physical disability, born with cerebral palsy from birth, 8 surgeries, about 15 years of rehabilitative therapy. Didn't take my first steps until I was about 10 years old. So I think in that struggle there is strength. As we talk about in the Latino community and all the other minority communities, there's something about people not giving you a space at that table or an option to participate that kind of fuels that inner sense that says, you know, I think I could still do good here. I think I could give value. And so with my biggest weakness as a disability is also my strongest strength.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah,
man.
I think that's where it is.
Ooh.
And I don't think I would change it, because to change it would then not be who you are. And I just hope that people out there looking can see and say, look, you know, I'm not going to say you should do it the way that I did it, or just because I did it, you could do it. But what I want to do is give you permission.
Yeah.
To say, sometimes people don't see your greatness. And so I just need you to step forward.
Mm. Well, we talk about Hispanic Heritage Month. We talk about Latinx Heritage Month. We talk about our people, you know, making a space for themselves, you know, doing the thing. You know, you've always heard the phrase, si se puede.
Yep.
And it can be done.
Yeah.
You know, and it may not be pretty. You may not take the direct route to getting where that ultimate space may be, but it can be done. You can get there. We've got enough resources in our community to make things happen. And you're in the business of making people better. Correct. And I'm all about areas of growth and personal development and, you know, shaping our lives and our careers. We've had a lot of people come on this show and say, you know, I have a coach who helps me, right? I have a coach that helps me in the gym. I have a coach that helps me become a better partner. I have a coach that helps me with my career. Right? What would coaching look like with someone like you? If I said, hey, Mark, I want to hire you as my coach, what could you do for me, man?
Mm-hmm. Well, what I tell people is what I do is real. It's based on some of the things that you put forward. But really what I'm hoping to have you do is to be able to manage the ambiguity. Most of my leaders have some sort of things that they aren't sure things. They have to manage people, policies, processes that they're not sure of. And because I've sat in a chair for about 22 years and am an expert in dealing with change, this is one of the things that business leaders really find valuable.
Yeah.
Because there are some change that you like and you call forward. There are other changes that aren't in your control. So how do I manage that, which is not in my control.
Well, I find, again, you're an intriguing guy. One of the things that you've alluded to, and I can sense already from the way you've interacted with people here in the studio, the way we're talking right now, is that perspective that you talk about, having a alternative perspective than most people will have, right? What have you learned from this perspective that you have?
I'm still learning.
Spoken like a true student and master,
Always
because
a student.
only the people that think they know it all are the ones that are done.
Listen, you're never done.
Yeah.
You're always a student. And you don't have to be in the high ivory tower for me to learn. I ride public transportation. There is something to be learned from everyone. And the moment you think that you have it all together is when you're going to get surprised. So people are tremendously resilient. It's another thing that I've learned.
Resiliency.
They
Come on
really
now.
are. They really are. They're able to do a great amount of things. And I can tell you, as I've sat with people who are, you would look at them and be like, wow, your life is really stressful and you should really be upset. And some of these folks may be grandmothers that you know or aunties that you know in our community, and they aren't stressed at all. And you think, wow,
Yeah.
you should be.
That's a good point.
And yet they're not. So it's about the perspective. It's about gratitude. It's about kind of just bringing that in and being wise. So the longer I do this, the wiser I become.
Well, I would call Mark, if you're watching this right now, get in the DMs, comment on this post, share this with someone that needs to hear this. I would say, I think in the past we've heard success stories, but I also like to think all of our stories are still being written, right? We're all a masterpiece in progress. So no matter where you're at, folks, if you're watching this, we want to give you hope. We want to leave you empowered. The tagline of this show is People, Culture, Power Talks, because we want to introduce you to the people that are out there, writing those masterpieces right now. And Mark is one of them. One of the areas that also intrigues me very much as a leader, as someone who also coaches others through camaraderie, friendship, mentorship, is the idea of emotional intelligence. And I know you know something about that, man.
Yeah, that's one of the areas that I've really pinned my practice on, and that is basically being able to take the perspective of others. As a leader, it's really important that you give them the benefit of the doubt, that you withhold judgment. I'm not saying don't have it. I'm just saying withhold it, because there's always a second part that you're not really aware of. And you've heard the saying that everybody has their story. And I find that to be really true. The leaders who listen more, they're just better leaders.
Yeah.
Period. And they don't have to do anything but listen. So just be aware that a lot of the leadership, the best leaders I've ever sat with in a room go, I don't have to be the best person in the room, but I have people in the room who are. And so what I do is I just be quiet and I listen and I just think, wow, that able to like calm your ego and just not need to be the center of attention.
But that's hard for some people to do, right? And so that is the area right there where I see people struggle, the people not wanting to let go. And many of our people have that for a lot of reasons, right? It's a defense mechanism, or we've used that to portray an image that we want to promote, right? One of the things I tell young people that I work with, college students, middle school students, is how coachable are you? Now, we like to think that your attitude determines your latitude. Mm-hmm. You'll go as high as you want with your career, with how good you feel about yourself, depending on what sort of mindset you have, right? And so mindset coaching, right? Talking to people, reassuring them. I mean, these are things that people need to hear, right? I mean, all of the negativity and the drama that can be out there, we need to really wrap our arms around our community and say, nah, it's okay. Like, it's okay. We're going to get through this, man. And I think that's part of the work you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really big on ego suppression, being able to calm that. But in all fairness, our leaders don't know how to give constructive criticism. They use it as a term to be like, well, I'm going to do your year-end review, eval, and I'm going to give you constructive criticism. You have to be taught how to do that. And I find that most leaders are woefully undertrained in how to be able to deliver the message, because most of us come to work and do things that are really personable to us. So I've learned to change my messaging. Let me give you an example. Instead of people asking me, well, how do you like me to come to you if I have a problem? I used to say, well, I got big shoulders. I'm a big boy. You just come and tell me what you feel about it. And then I realized that the way people deliver their criticisms lacks kindness.
Yeah.
And so in that case, if you've been somebody who's been brought through a system that hasn't been kind, then this is why they are resistant to feedback. So if you're a leader, trust me, training is a good thing so that you're able to deliver the information you need to deliver without people being on the defensive.
Well, you sound like you should have your own podcast where you're doing leadership coaching. Have you thought of that? Do you have your own podcast?
I do. I call it EQ Ready. It's available on most platforms. EQ Ready is just little snippets, and I purposely did this 5 to 7 minutes once a month, sometimes more if I'm led by my gumption to do so. But 5 minutes of just delivering something that is going to be based on emotional intelligence that helps you as a leader kind of move through that process. It could be about giving feedback to others. It could be something that you need to do in terms of empathy or exercise. It was just a way to put something out there for free to give them an idea of what emotional intelligence is and how it can really benefit your bottom line. As a business owner, it can make you more money, because if people are happier that work for you, there's a lot of research that shows it really affects the cost-benefit ratio and the return on investment. And when I start talking about in those terms, then I find people really listen.
You get people's attention.
Yeah.
Well, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Most of the time I'm hanging out with my rescue pets or watching a Detroit Red Wings hockey game, which I know is a little Midwestern.
No, we love hockey,
but
man.
I mean, this is great. I do that. I'm kind of a homebody in my natural life, because most of my professional life is really dedicated to being very engrossed in people's personal and career trajectories. So you'll find me kind of being quiet at home.
Well, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of 90s rap and R&B.
90s gangster rap. All right, so take a guess right now, folks. If you're watching this, who are Mark's top 3 favorite rappers? And now you can include hip-hop groups, duos, bands, but give us your guesses right now in the comment section on who Mark's top 3 hip-hop and rap bands, solo artists, MCs may be.
You know what? I'll sweeten the pot a little bit. If you get this right and you're not my mom or my aunt or my girlfriend, and you actually name my top favorite R&B group of the 90s, I will send you a special gift. If you will send, you know what? You're going to get some free coaching from me. If you
man, I'm going to guess now.
If you name it, get Maximo your info. DM him on the private
right now, wherever you're looking at.
I don't want you giving out your personal information to the public. But if you get it, that's good. I'll even give you top 3.
I'm not going to guess, but there's so many iconic bands out there. You know, Tupac's been in the news lately. Tupac Shakur, you know, for some different things you might have heard of. You know, I'm a big fan of rap and hip hop, man. But go ahead, give us your top 3 right now. Give us your top 1. Anybody that's on your mind, who comes to mind?
I don't know. Look in your chat first. Make sure nobody else has called it out.
Let me see if anybody's got anybody call it out.
So you just take a timestamp so we know if somebody called it out beforehand.
Man, this show's streaming all over in multiple spots, bro. So we're gonna.
All right, get it, and then mark the time so that we know they can't come in afterwards. But if anybody got my top 3.
We'll get them, man.
Okay, so my number 1, without a doubt, Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, but I was gonna say Wu-Tang.
It's a little bit older. They're not. They're top 10.
The Tribe Called Quest, bro. We had a group in here in studio before, MC Squared. They remind me so much of a Tribe Called Quest.
Is they here?
They were in studio here. They're out of San Antonio, man. So we're gonna get you hooked up with them.
All right, good.
But Tribe Called Quest, good choice, man.
Wow, number 2.
Who do you got?
KRS-One.
Ooh, KRS-One. Come on, man. You for real a student of hip hop.
I told you.
You for real.
I'm not playing.
He ain't playing, he says, folks.
KRS-One. Did anybody get that?
So we ain't got that one yet. And then who's rounding out that list? I mean, you don't got to give us. It's hard when you look. This isn't like 1, 2, 3. It can be in any order. You know, whoever it is that comes to mind. You know, because I don't want to put you on the spot and be like, oh, this is number 1, number 2.
No, I mean, I would go number 3. Diggable Planets.
Ooh, another good choice. Another good choice.
So you can tell how old I am, right? They're like, oh, that dude's old.
It's all good, man.
But
we cater to all the audiences here. We have a little something for everybody here.
True.
And if you don't believe us, you could tune in 8:30 right here at VodPod Media to the San Pluto Show, the hottest music review show on the internet with Amzai Austin, Amzilla, Gylan Jackson right here, folks. So don't go anywhere. And we're just getting warmed up here at the Maximo Show, folks. If you didn't know, man, we in rare form. We live right now. We're live, so get all your questions, your comments, all of your gripes in the comment section, and we'll get to them. Shout out to everybody watching, everyone showing love. We've got Irene Chavez Galvan, who was our guest last week, chiming in. We've got Marsha Tovar, who is someone probably you know.
She's related.
We've got Tanisha Robinson. We've got Carolina T. We got Mickey Sweet. We got all of our family watching the show, supporting us. In studio tonight, folks, we've got Cynthia Frias, who will be our next guest. She's going to talk to us about Dan Reproduction Show Volo. Man, I can't wait to share with y'all a sneak peek of this show. It's going to be something like you ain't never seen before, folks. Man, we do a little bit of it all here at the Maximo Show, and we're so proud to have Mark in studio tonight. Man, I appreciate you coming through, man. We've been talking about having you on. You made it through. Talk to me a little bit about, your experience tonight, man. What have you thought about the studio?
I mean, this is great. I love it. It's real laid back. And I love the fact that you're just here to highlight San Antonio and the local area's talent.
Yeah.
And it is by somebody who has, for those of you who don't know, Maximo has done what he's doing for us, which is that he has paid the dues. He is well known in multiple minority communities and business communities. So for me, when you asked me, it was a no-brainer because there's a lot of folks that would call and ask you to come for a lot of different reasons. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, even before the pre-show, all the guests we're coming together. We're pledging to help each other, and that's what it's all about. As much as it's about getting us seen, it's about who you can bring up with you.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, man. We come together like Voltron and do this right. You know what I'm saying? And we got to put it on. We got to give our best for the community. The community is what we are. I like to say that. I'm cheering for everybody. Everybody can win. And you can't spell community without unity. And look, we ain't going to agree on every single subject, right? If you're watching this right now, some people are like, man, this guy Maximo is a joke. But guess what? We got love for everybody.
That's right.
We want to bring everyone to the table. We want to show love, man, because listen, there's so much negativity out there already. Now, you talk about coaching with a positive mindset, man. And that's important, man. Like, what side of the bed did you wake up on today? How are you putting your best foot forward to live your best life, man? What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, that's just... that's where I come from. I don't need any additional negativity. I always work from a strength-based perspective, which means you probably have a PhD in everything that you're doing wrong. Most people can list out 100,000 things that they're not doing right. What we really need to focus on is your individual gifts and the individual contributions that you bring. And that's what I hope to bring out.
Well, you touching on it. And I like what you said about turning those weaknesses into positives and strengths, right? Turning a negative into a positive. And that is so key. My son, he practices Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I watch some of the things that he's not as skilled in. And I'm like, okay, we're going to work on this because he has the skills. He just doesn't know. He just doesn't know how to put it together, right? And so I feel like you are that type of guy. Once you know your client well enough or know the audience, know the business well enough, you can connect some of those dots.
Absolutely. It's all about practice. And like I said, I've had 22 years in the mental health field before I transitioned to the coaching field. So a lot of this it's based on theory and practice and technique, just like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I know that regardless of whatever headlock I get into, there is a move or a position that will put me at a better place.
Yeah.
And so if I can have my emotional intelligence about me and not be reactive and instead be responsive, then I've got something that's just a little extra.
Well, that's what it's about. I like to think the difference between try and triumph is putting a little umph in it.
That's right.
You got to put a little extra on, a little sauce, a little extra sizzle.
A little funk on it.
A little funk, he says,
You gotta
folks.
put a little funk on it.
And so you mentioned the Detroit Red Wings. We got to give a shout out to all of our family, all of our friends up in Michigan. I'm
right.
from Michigan. Mark's from Michigan. Shout out to everybody from the Mitten, the Great Lakes state. The Detroit Lions are having a good season.
Oh, and to be honest, I hadn't watched football in a long time. I've watched every game so far. Okay. I'm in. I bought in. Like, I'm ready. It's time for the city to have their due, and I think Dan Campbell has done a fantastic job. And I think people now, other NFL teams are looking at our fans.
Yeah, that's right.
And they like their passion. So I'm in.
Man, a little bit of everything tonight, Mark. We appreciate you coming in and bringing some of your spunk, some of your zeal. Give us like a minute or 60 to 90 seconds, your pitch. If someone's watching this right now and say, man, I like this guy, Mark. I don't know what it is exactly about him. He seems to have a lot of information. He may be speaking to a part of my soul. How can someone get involved with you, man? How can they call you? I mean, do you do intro calls, consults?
I do 15-minute intro calls. Look, go to Real Counseling Inc. Real Counseling Inc. San Antonio, Texas. I'm here. Get on my list. Send me an email. Send me a text. We can talk for free for 15 minutes. And then what I really decide is how I can best assist you. I give you some options. And even if I'm not the one to do it, I don't just hang up the phone. If I don't know how to help you, I know somebody who does. That may not be me. It's not important. The most important thing is that you reached out. Don't let it go too long. If you're struggling as a leader, if you're struggling as an employee, if you're struggling as a worker, if things just aren't going right, reach out.
Well, listen, someone's got to have some awareness. They got to have some humility in doing that, right?
Sure.
And not everybody has that. Sure. We talked about that. And so, what's it going to be? Can I call and say, hey, this person needs you to call them, Mark? Can I say, hey, Mark, you need to call this person? I'm going to slide you their number and you ask them if you could provide their services.
I'll tell you what I normally do is if somebody thinks that somebody else needs a little assistance, you can call me and we'll talk about the best way that you can get to them. Because it's really important that they be the one to call, but I'm going to give you some pointers into how to, massage that so that it's, look, most of us have our people call because we care.
Yeah.
And I've not had anybody ever be angry at somebody saying, well, Maximo really cares about you. So he thinks this is a good idea for you to call. I've not seen anybody be angry about that.
I don't think anyone's going to get upset because you're such a good resource.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right? So it's not like we're hooking them up with a bad resource.
Been around for quite a while. We've been at this for a minute. We kind of know what we're doing.
All right, folks. He's got the goods. He's got the experience. He's got that personal touch. Call Mark DeVar. Look up Real Counseling Inc. Right now, Google San Antonio. DM us. We're going to get you connected with this executive coach to take your leadership to the next level, your emotional intelligence, all of that stuff. We're going to get it going here with Dan Reed Productions in just a moment. Big shout out to the Delgado Law Firm, your personal injury attorney. My name is Maximo, your host. We're transitioning, folks, over to Dan Reed Productions Volo for your viewing pleasure. Enjoy. Welcome back, folks. Or welcome back. That was amazing.
It was.
And so we have our guest with us right now, Cynthia. Cynthia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I just appreciate y'all coming and being part of the show tonight.
Of course.
Welcome to the studio. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for
How are
having
you
us.
doing?
I'm good. We're here. We're ready.
Good. So talk to me a little bit about first Danry Productions.
So Danry Productions was created by Ernest Salceda. He has so many visions, and this isn't the first production that we're working on. So he's really is a visionary for different arts and creating stories and using different talents from all over the community. So his vision was to just kind of get together as many artists as he could and make magic.
Yeah, well, big shout out to Ernest. We know you're watching out there in San Diego tonight. I'm glad that we could highlight your product. You know, Danry Productions, Volo is a Cirque style show. It's just mystical, right? We have different performers. Music is off the charts. I understand Ernest has choreographed or composed the music with another artist out of Italy.
Yes, his name is Giacomo Cordioli. It's Italian. I was like, it doesn't roll off the tongue that easily. But he's been working with him for almost a year now, composing original music that kind of takes us through the story. And they're really finding that way that connects. If it connects to them, they're able to create a story, and then that helps the rest of us. And the key is to just connect with everyone that we possibly could.
Well, it really does. I mean, I've seen some of the promotional items, you know, what we had here tonight, the magician with the lights, and just how it was presented with the music. The music is so visceral and real. It strikes a chord with you.
It sure does. It takes you through a journey that whether you're going through it right now, maybe in the future, you know someone, everyone's able to relate to it in some way, which is really what our goal is, for the audience to connect with us in a way that they didn't know they could be connected, and for them to kind of know that everyone understands and that we understand this crazy journey that we call life.
Yeah, well, you listen, I mean, there's a lot of things to like about the production. Come on in, sir. We've got Corey with us, joining us here, our magician. We're talking about, you know, Volo right now, an original Cirque style show with artistry like dance, magic, aerial work, and more. Now, you two are very talented people. So how did you get involved in this work that you're doing?
6 years ago, I was highly inspired by some David Blaine type magic.
He's not a trickless magician, is he?
I don't think so. He's got plenty of tricks. Well, in a way, he's trickless because he does things for real. It's almost not a trick.
Ooh, I like it. Perspective.
Yes.
So that's a lot of that inspired me to do real magic as well.
And Cynthia, you're a talented dancer, choreographer. Tell us a little bit more about your background.
I started dancing when I was very young. It mainly started because I was a very introverted person. So my parents put me in it to kind of get me a little more socialized, get me just to do things out of my normal day routine, and I fell in love with it. I studied various genres of dance. I went to performing arts high school growing up, and then I later on pursued it as my degree. So I went and studied it in college, and then I, right out of college, was lucky enough to start performing right away and did it for the better part of the last 10 years. I've been performing, training, choreographing, kind of dipping my toe anywhere I could. And I just recently moved back home and setting a foundation here while I'm still choreographing and really exploring the creative aspects of things.
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, whoever watches this show is in for a treat. You know, Ernest is a talented guy. So big shout out to Ernest watching. You know, we appreciate all of our supporters and people that, you know, come on the show, people that, you know, are showcasing their artwork and their craft. You know, what makes this show different?
So we are doing a Cirque style show. So like mentioned, we're aiming to bring in different types of art. So we have Corey, who's our magician. We have aerialists. We have dancers. We have vocalists. We're doing a little visual art. We're messing with, you know, all the lighting aspects of things to kind of tie it in all together to really create a story and take people through the journey.
You don't often see magicians and aerialists
Exactly.
in the same, or dancers. It's a very unique blend of art.
So tell me about the artistry behind being a magician?
I can't. It's a secret.
Oh, well, he can't give away all the secrets, he says, folks. So look, if you want to know more about the secrets, you're going to have to buy a ticket to the show. And so, listen, I mean, we've talked about where the show will be produced. I know some of this stuff's still in the works, but share with us a little bit of the plan to unveil the show. Will it be produced here in San Antonio first?
Yes. We wanted to have its big promotion here in San Antonio. We're aiming for like the spring, summer of 2024. And we are, still working on all the logistics, but the plan is to have a 1 weekend, 3 shows type thing. More comes to happen there. We'll kind of unveil it as we go. We're working on our videos to get out more promotion events, and everyone really gets to know our story.
Well, this is really awesome. I think, listen, the arts community, we need a vibrant arts community with a diverse set of talent showcased. How many different forms of artistry are in this show? Because I know there's a ton of them.
Yeah, we have 6 performers total.
Wow.
So we'll have 1 magician, aerialist, 3 dancers, and a vocalist. And then obviously that's on stage, mind you. Then we have Ernest, who's like the director producer. We have the composer. We have the stage lighting. We have our stage managers, choreographers. So really, there's like the artist on scene and then the artist behind the scenes as well, who make one show happen.
Yeah. So look, folks, if you're watching this, if you'd like to be involved in the production, if you'd like to facilitate, collaborate in some form, let us know. That's what we do here. We talk about the Delgado Law Firm. We talk about VodPod Media. We talk about Mark Dovar. We talk about Ernest. We talk about Dan Ree Productions, a very talented, production company in its own right, one that's done several shows. Mm-hmm. Do you know much about any of the previous productions?
Yes, I've actually been through Ernest through quite a bit of the journey. When he first started his very first vision, we kind of started doing it just at schools who kind of wanted to incorporate more music into their school program. And then later on, he's like, hey, let's make a promotional video. And I was like, okay. And then we ended up creating it. Oh, the idea was to create a show, kind of a big show like we wanted to, but it was in the midst of the pandemic. So we ended up doing it film style. So we recorded it, and then we had like a big movie premiere. So that was kind of that. And then I kind of helped him hold auditions for other things, helped while I was back and forth between performing and here. We always connected, and he was like, hey, do you know someone? Or I'm like, hey, I know someone. Or he would be like, thoughts on this? So I'm honored to say I've been with Ernest through majority of it so far.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Ernest, and I know the respect is mutual. He called me up and says, look, I got to get on your show. He was like, I want to call in. I want to have this. I'm like, bro, slow down, man. We can't do it all in one night. So we're going to have Ernest on the show when he gets back to San Antonio. Yes. Maybe we'll have him call in one of these days to talk more about the production, the theory behind it. And, I'm really impressed by Ernest in so many ways. Yeah. And so would you like to perform a trick for us here while we end the show? Is there anything you want to show us before we close out?
I'd love to. I have a trick. It's called the stand-up 3-card Monty by Garrett Thomas.
All right, folks, here it is. Let's see what he's got for us.
All right. So thank you. So it's called the stand-up 3-card Monty. Would I be able to stand up?
You're gonna stand up, man, but watch your head here. We got a light right there that costs a lot of money.
That's good. Here. So I have 2 cards. We'll try this very simple with 2 at first.
All right, folks, 2 cards right here.
Great. So you can see 2 cards. One is the ace, one is the 4 of spades. I'm going to switch them up, and you guess which one is the ace.
All right.
Simple. All right, which one do you think? Good eye. You have a pretty good eye. Pretty good.
He ain't getting one over on Maximo tonight, folks. Not tonight. You got to wake up pretty early in the morning to get one over on me.
This one's going to be pretty tough. We'll add 3 cards.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's do it. I got a sophisticated eye here.
Good. Would you hold your hand out like that? Good. So if I were to give you one of the cards, and you had to guess the ace, my hand or your hand?
My hand.
You'd think, turn it over.
My man got one over on me. I was born last night. Come on now.
Here, we'll try this again.
All right, let's do it again.
I'm pretty good at this, so I'll put it back here in my pocket. Okay,
wow.
The ace is right here.
My man is getting this right here. My man's got a sophisticated hand.
That's right. It's all sleight of hand. It's not real magic. If I turn the ace of hearts over like that, it becomes real magic. It becomes.
Oh my gosh. Are y'all seeing this, folks? Are y'all seeing this right here?
Ace back here in the pocket. I don't want to do it with 4 cards. That's a little bit cheating. So
Look, he's got no sleeves, folks. How's he doing this, man?
really, 3 cards, 2 4s.
Wow.
Hold your hand out like that. I'll give you a 4. Which one's the ace?
It's right there.
Obviously, it's face up, but the tap. Look at the ace. Now
Wow.
it's an ace too.
Okay. Now this guy's working overtime tonight.
Just 1 4. We turn over the 4 like that. Changes all 3 aces.
Wow, folks. Are y'all seeing this live? Come on now. There ain't no camera tricks here. We don't have those cameras just yet. My man just set it off, Corey. Find him. Find Cynthia on the internet. Support them. VodPod Media. Support Dan Reproductions. Social media. You're going to want to see Volo. They got Corey features. Cynthia, Ernest. We love y'all. Folks, we appreciate y'all for watching the show tonight. Mark, we appreciate you for coming through. Stay tuned for the San Pluto Show, folks. Guyland, take it home. We'll see y'all next week. Much love.
Thank you.